Pull one South Palm 1083, Preble by Willard. How we doing?
Good, you?
Drove a little fast out of that lot, don't you think?
I know.
What's going on?
A little scared.
Why?
That's all. I don't know.
All right, turn around.
Yep.
You're gonna be under arrest for OUI.
The alcohol was a major problem, but the pot was even more of a problem. It all started when I was 13 years old. Vaping was the first substance I found. With nicotine, with it being my first substance I started with, it's still a substance I do now. It is one of the hardest substances that I have come across to quit. I have tried quitting nicotine about 8 times between nicotine patches, nicotine gum, just using all of my options. A bunch of my buddies had older siblings and we would go down to like their dog parties or we would just find our way there. And I would just see all the stuff going around, like the drinks and the bongs and the blunts, and it would end up in my hand somehow. They were just like, do you guys want to try? And I'm like, yeah, like the older kids are offering, why not? I thought it was safe because I'm watching everyone else use it, so I figured there was nothing wrong with it. It led to me wanting to not live anymore and me needing it every day to just wake up and get out of bed. I had lost 35 pounds and my mom's just watching me get thinner and thinner and thinner, and she's trying to feed me and get me to eat, but I just won't eat because I have to be high. So a friend of mine took her own life a little while back, and after I told my mom that I've been attempting too, and all of that, my mom had her come over when I said, no, don't tell her. She came over, and the one thing she said to me was, if I could have done anything to save my baby girl and get her the help she needed, I would have done anything, but now I get to see her sit on my mantle. And I just lost it after that. I looked at my mom and I'm like, what am I doing to my mom? Like, my mom's taking photos of me in cop cars trying to teach me lessons, and I'm showing up late at night and crashing my car and just doing all this stuff, and it just wasn't worth doing that to her. So I thought about both of them and I chose to go away.
Kind of that moment.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was realization.
You're a kid and you don't exactly want to hear that your mom's a drug addict. I know she did a lot of pretty much anything. She used a lot of different stuff. I was 9 years old when I started finding out about her addiction. Before that, I knew something was going on, but I didn't know anything about drugs at first, so I learned when I was 9. My dad told me, but I also connected the dots through school because in the school I was in, we did the DARE program, and a lot of the things and signs that they had brought up about addicts, I had connected to my mom in a way, so I was able to know what was going on. In a way, I knew it was coming, that my mom was gonna die, but at the same time, like, even if you expect it, it doesn't make it any easier to go through. I was also in an angry stage because my mom made a ton of promises to me when I was younger, like, you can come live with me again, we'll be fine, we'll be this big happy family, and I didn't know where to put my anger at her, so it kind of just balled up, and I was really upset about it because, you know, a kid doesn't really realize what addiction is at first, so it was more of she just left me. It's hard to go through, and it is extremely hard to sit there and watch someone you love die and not be able to do anything about it. I had a really hard time after she died. I got really depressed when she died, and I didn't really want to be here at all. There's a lot of people who struggle with suicide, but I think, again, it's like where they stay quiet about it. Like, a lot of the kids who are vaping or smoking or doing drugs or smoking weed, like, that is their way of trying to handle the fact that they don't know what to do with themselves. Like, a lot of people just want to be numb instead of feeling it, and they need help and they don't know how to ask for it or how to receive it, so they just numb themselves instead. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't really go to friends with that type of thing, still at my age, but like, the better option in that situation is to find an adult that you that you trust enough to ask for help from. Because I think that a lot of times if you're asking from a friend, it becomes kind of difficult on both of you in that situation. If you're struggling, it's okay to get help. Like, it's not something that you have to be ashamed of or hide from, because there is way more people that struggle with this than you would think, because people are so scared to ask for help. So there's nothing to be ashamed of when you need help. You just have to take that step to ask for it.
I started smoking weed every day, and how early I was doing it in the day started creeping earlier and earlier and earlier, and then I was drinking as much as I possibly could. I just remember like feeling so horrified by the way I looked, and I just like went into my dorm room and cried the rest of the day because I had just kind of given up on myself. Like, I had been trying to stop, and I couldn't. There is this big, thick pipe going across the ceiling of my room, and I decided to set something up to end my life with, and I knew it was gonna work. And I had it all set up, and I was trying to take that final step, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I ended up seeking more serious help during winter break, and I started going to AA. And I got better. I was able to stay sober for the most part for the next 2 years. This past fall, I moved into a different dorm, and I was feeling so happy and joyous and free. Like, that was the happiest I've ever been in my life. I had my life together. I had a lot of friends. I was really involved in the recovery community, and then I felt so good that I thought I didn't need to do my recovery stuff anymore. I stopped going to AA meetings or doing really anything related to that. Like, I started to think, well, other people can drink and smoke weed, like, why can't I? Like, don't I deserve to? And then in early November, I caved and started drinking again, and I instantly knew I didn't have control over it. I tried to replace the drinking sometimes with smoking weed, but something had like flipped in my brain. I don't know what, but I just wasn't processing it the same. And whenever I'd smoke it, I'd become completely psychotic. Sometimes like losing touch with reality, and I had some of the most scary experiences I've ever had, because I was just like hallucinating faceless people, hearing whispers, becoming really convinced of bizarre things were happening. I had heard about how high potency marijuana could cause psychotic symptoms. It just had never really done it to me before. I guess it was a bit of a surprise, and it was scary because I was afraid it wouldn't stop. Like, I would just always feel like that. But the feeling would eventually go away, thank God.
How you doing?
Good, you?
I'm all right. What's going on? You mind stepping out of the car?
I sure can. It's good to
Jameson.
see you, Sergeant.
So great to see you too. So I hear nothing but good things are happening. So what's going on?
I'm very glad to hear about that. After that night you arrested me, it honestly kind of saved my life, because I didn't think I wanted to lean towards recovery, but after that night it was an eye-opener that I did have a problem, and I did need to steer in a new direction of life, and I chose to go the way to detox, sober living, and rehab.
Keep up the good work, my friend.
Thank you, I appreciate
Good
it.
seeing you. Take care.
Thank you. Over the last 8 months, we have spoken to several thousand students and adults about high-potency THC, alcoholism, and addiction, and we think it's making a difference. Because, I mean, I've had kids come up to me and talk to me and be like, hey, I haven't smoked weed in a week, and I'm like, congratulations, like, that's amazing. Like, keep going. And I've had also other kids come up to me and say, hey, like, I've been a year. And I'm like, you keep going. Like, don't you feel so much better? You're a year sober. Like, how do you feel? And they always say, I feel great.